Every year, thousands of people just disappear. For most, the story thankfully ends with them coming home safe. But for some, it's just permanent silence. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into what goes wrong when a missing person report is filed and why some of these cases go cold from the very first phone call. Let's start with a number, a really big one, 100,000. So what is that number? Well, according to Public Safety Canada, that's how many people are reported missing every single year. I mean, just try to picture that. It's this constant, overwhelming flood of cases hitting police departments all across the country. Now look, the vast majority of these people are found or they come back home, usually within a week. But what about the ones who don't? What makes the critical difference between a temporary scare and a tragic end? That's really the core question we're trying to answer here. Okay, so let's get into it. When someone performs this vanishing act, what's supposed to happen next? How does the official investigation even begin? So the material for this analysis comes from a really important policy report. It was prepared for the Missing Women Commission of Inquiry, and its whole job was to look into the cases of vulnerable and marginalized women who went missing and were later found to have been murdered. They were trying to understand exactly where the system failed them. And that sheer volume of cases creates the biggest problem right from the start. With over 100,000 reports a year, police have this almost impossible job of triage. How do you decide which case is just someone who needs a little space and which one is a person in mortal danger? That single decision point is where the failures can begin. So let's talk about that first interaction, that moment a report is actually made, because pretty much everything hinges on it. And right away, we run into a huge and honestly dangerous myth. You've heard it, right? The 24-hour waiting period? Well, the source material is crystal clear. No police policy anywhere in Canada requires it. And yet, this belief just hangs on, not just with the public, but sometimes even with police, and it can cause absolutely devastating delays. You see, that initial report, it's not just some formality or paperwork. It is the absolute bedrock of the entire investigation. It's often the single best chance police have to get the information they need to make that critical life or death risk assessment. And this is the kind of stuff that's needed right away. We're talking about way more than just a name and a photo. Is this disappearance totally out of character for them? Have they just gone through some kind of crisis? Do they need life-saving medication? Every single answer helps build that crucial picture of risk. And when those first steps don't happen the right way, it's often not just an isolated mistake. It's usually part of a much bigger systemic problem. The Commission and other studies found this heartbreaking list of systemic failures. Reports not being taken seriously, investigations delayed, policies just plain ignored. But take a look at those last 2 points, the frustration with communication and the concerns over gender and racial trends. That suggests the problems run a lot deeper than just not having enough resources. One of the most dangerous results of these failures is something called linkage blindness. Now, it sounds complicated, but it's a terrifyingly simple idea. It's the failure to connect the dots, to see the pattern between cases that might seem separate, but are actually the work of one predator who's operating across different police jurisdictions. It's how serial killers can go completely undetected for years. This shows you the massive disconnect between families and police. On one side, families are desperate, feeling like their reports aren't being taken seriously. On the other, police are talking about being drained by cases of chronic runaways. Families are frustrated by the silence, while police are worried about compromising evidence. It's like they're speaking two totally different languages, with tragic consequences. And here, we really have to confront the most difficult issue the report raises. It talks about allegations that police bias against sex workers, women with transient lifestyles, Aboriginal women, has led to their cases getting less attention. This isn't just about procedure anymore. It's about perception and whether every single life is treated with the same urgency. So, how do you fix a system with problems that run this deep? Well, the report actually outlines a pretty clear path forward. The whole solution starts with a radical shift in thinking, a complete change in the default position. Instead of assuming someone is fine until there's proof of foul play, the new model says you have to assume they're in danger until you can prove they're safe. The Vancouver police policy is to treat every case as suspicious. A UK guide puts it even more bluntly, if in doubt, think murder. And this new mindset builds into a clear, 4-step blueprint for change.
Step 1, standardized reporting. No more waiting, period. Step 2, improve risk assessment with a common tool, taking the guesswork out of it. Step 3, strengthen investigations with immediate action. And Step 4, enhance information sharing to fight that linkage blindness.
And the goal of all these steps is actually really simple. Take the guesswork out of the equation. By creating clear, detailed standards, the system has to be consistent for every single case. The whole point is to make sure the mistakes of the past can't be repeated.
Now, this all sounds like a solid plan, right? But it leads to one final, absolutely critical question.
The report we've been drawing from, it was published back in 2012. This blueprint for a better, more accountable system has been on the table for over a decade now. The protocols were written, the recommendations were made. Which leaves all of us with this one final, lingering thought. Who is checking the work? Who is making sure these changes are actually saving lives today?